All right, so VMware Site Recovery, that's what we're here for, to talk about not only how you can leverage Site Recovery Manager for disaster recovery, but another use case that you can do, you can actually do VM mobility, so data center migration. I know we do have other products that can help you with that, but keep in mind, Site Recovery Manager can also help you with data center migrations. Oh, let me get my clicker. All right, so this is the agenda for today. We'll do a quick introduction. Myself, Tim, and Joe are here. They're also captains for other labs. They're also helping me with this lab today. We'll do a quick introduction. Then we'll talk about how we built this lab. It's pretty cool, all the technologies that we're using. And then an overview of Site Recovery Manager. And I'll talk about what has been released in 8.7. I'm going to talk a little bit about vSphere replication too. The two solutions really are integrated and they work great. So I'm going to touch base on what has been released in 8.7, not a lot, 4 slides, and then we'll dedicate the rest for the lab. We will cover probably just one module in this lab. The modules are independent from each other, and you can do those you can do those modules anytime you'd like. So if you finish module 3 today, you can continue with module 4, or you can come back and do the modules another time. And are we set? Okay. So my name is Monica Martz. I'm a staff technical adoption manager, currently located in Clearwater, Florida. Have been with VMware for over 5 years now, and have been supporting the hands-on labs for 4 years. I do work with customers that are in the utility vertical. I'm actually, right now, I'm dedicated to the utility vertical. Prior to helping customers in the utility vertical, I work with healthcare customers and manufacturing. When I'm not working or doing hands-on labs, I love to travel, and I love being outdoors, camping, biking, running. Not as active on Twitter anymore, but you can find me there. I'm going to pass it to Tim.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi. So my name is Tim Kosher. I've been with VMware about 9 years now. I'm on the core SE side. So I'm a pre-sales engineer, and I've been with the labs for about 8 of those 9 years. Had a background in networking, did a lot of work with storage. I was with EMC for 12 years, and that allowed me to work on some of the things that you'll see in this lab too. It's the shared pod. I wrote the vVols lab, so if y'all have any interest in virtual volumes and storage policy-based management, this is a shared pod with that. So you'll see a pure storage array, and you'll see some of the things that I've done. What Monica will take you through and what the manual will show you will be all SRM related, but there is a little bit of overlap. I think you mentioned, you will mention, that in the vVols lab, we also do a vVols with storage policy-based management and SRM integration, okay? So again, I've worked in all the different verticals, and on the personal side, I'm a long-distance runner. I enjoy coaching soccer, and I've got 2 little boys that I coach, or I'm a Cub Scout leader for, so similar, a lot of outdoorsy stuff. And again, my name's Tim. It's awesome to meet y'all.
And Joe?
Hey everyone, Joe Suma. I am the principal for this lab, so I've been involved with HOL for the past 11 years or so. Been with VMware for 15 years. My background, I started with VMware. I was a consultant doing SRM implementation, architecture, upgrades with vSphere. So a little bit about me. I'm also married, 29 years, got 2 kids, 2 rescue dogs. I'm an avid musician, guitar player. I love to play hard rock, heavy metal, that kind of stuff. Yeah, all right. So I got a quick question for everybody before Monica starts, and she's going to do a great job for you all. How many of you all been using SRM? All right, all right.
Some of you.
That's great, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get started. We hope for those that, this is new to you, you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, and feel free, let's make this interactive even though we have the headphones on. Tim and Joe will be going around asking questions. You can go ahead, ask questions, and we're here to answer. Like I said, we will not be able to finish the entire lab. We will cover probably with just one module. So let's talk a little bit about constructing the lab. So like I mentioned, we're referencing this pod architecture. So what it actually means is that we just have ESXi host, underlying storage, the Site Recovery Manager appliances, and actually it is a nested environment. And we do have a dual site configuration, particularly for the SRM lab. So dual duplicate configuration, duplicate hosts, and the Site Recovery Manager appliances at the recovery site and the protected site. So we are dealing with two separate vCenters, and you will actually see that in the lab, where we'll actually have to authenticate to two separate vCenters. They're not in linked mode. And we are leveraging vSphere replication in this lab to copy the data from the protected site to the recovery site. Like I mentioned, the vPod is shared. So you'll probably see it in the inventory or the browser links. You'll see some other solutions there. You can ignore those and just focus on the Site Recovery Manager manual, and we'll be good. All right, so as far as the modules go, I will be covering Module 1. We will do a nice introduction to Site Recovery Manager. A lot of you, I see, have already worked with Site Recovery Manager, so this will be probably just a little bit of a refresher. But if you'd like to see it, in Module 1, we also have a walkthrough to the Photon OS appliance. So if you're new to Site Recovery Manager, I recommend you look at that module as well. Module 2 just showcases the failover of virtual machine. It's a quick module, but we're going to skip over that, and we're going to cover Module 3. We are doing a lot of cool things with protection groups and recovery plans, and I'm actually going to show you how to protect a 3-tier application in this module. Module 4, which this morning we had another ELW, and a lot of folks finished Module 3, and then they moved on to Module 4. There is some cool stuff happening in Module 4, so I highly recommend, if you can, and if you would like to stay a little bit over, even though I think we're going to finish faster, there is IP customization in Module 4. We are talking about more advanced topics, and we are also talking about vSphere replication in Module 4. So feel free, after you're done with Module 3, you can start on Module 4. And Module 5 actually is new this year. We are seeing that a lot of customers are starting to adopt the REST APIs to start doing more automation for the Site Recovery Manager task. So in the past, in the lab, we did have the orchestrator, and we tried to do some cool things with that. But now we're seeing that there's more and more demand from the customer to actually leverage the REST APIs. So in Module 5, like I said, new this year, we're just brushing on some of the REST APIs. It's not very involved, but if you do like to see it, we are leveraging the SRM REST API gateway. So Module 5 is talking about that. Module 6 is, like Tim said, the integration. We're showcasing the integration of Site Recovery Manager with vVols. So if you would like, you could take that as well. Any questions on that? No questions? Okay. So I always like actually to bring this up because we're talking about disaster recovery, right? So every time we talk about disaster recovery or business continuity, these two terms are, you always hear them, right? It's the frequently most used terms. And I'm sure you all know them, but I'm still gonna talk about it a little bit. So RPO and RTO. Recovery point objective is the measure of how much data you will be losing in case of a disaster hits. So you can think about it. If you have synchronous replication, the RPO is 0. And if you have daily backups, if a disaster hits right before your daily backup runs, then your RPO is 24 hours. On the other hand, the RTO, the recovery time objective, is a measure of how much time will it take for your environment to be back the way it was prior to the disaster. So when you are orchestrating or when you are reviewing your company's disaster recovery and business continuity policies, these two are very important to know what makes sense for different applications. What is the approved RTO and RPO. And then at the end of this, we're actually going to talk about a couple of other disaster recovery solutions. And you will see how actually leveraging different disaster recovery solutions can help you achieve the RPO and RTO you're looking for. Any questions on this? All right. I know some of you have already worked with Site Recovery Manager, so I'm just going to be quick about it. So what is Site Recovery Manager, right? Just question, do you actually have it in your environment, or you are actually using Site Recovery Manager right now? Oh, okay. So also, you don't have to give feedback now, but if you'd like at the end of the session, if there's any feedback, I'm glad to take that feedback. I'm very curious to hear your use cases as well. So Site Recovery Manager, you can think of it as a orchestration software, right? Site Recovery Manager was designed to help customers like yourself speed up the disaster recovery, help you with the disaster recovery challenges, because we all know there can be some challenges when it comes to disaster recovery. I love Site Recovery Manager because you can do a lot of non-disruptive testing. When I was a customer, actually we used it in a smaller environment, but that's the beauty of Site Recovery Manager. You can do as much non-disruptive testing as you'd like. It does come with automation workflows, and you can see them there. We do have failover, migration, and failback. Also, with the Site Recovery Manager, like I said, just being the orchestrator, you obviously do need some sort of replication to replicate your data from the protected site to the recovery site. So here we have some choices. We can replicate with storage array replication, storage-based replication, or you can use vSphere replication. And we integrate very well with vSphere replication. But I know a lot of you are probably using array-based replication, and we support a broad range of third-party replication solutions. Any questions on this? All right. So let's talk a little bit. Oh, there is a question. Yes. I did one. Yeah, go ahead. Hold on.
I got the microphone. I'll walk over here.
Tim is coming, and Joe is coming.
What's that? Oh yeah, no worries. This is all done.
Hey, so is there a reason that you would recommend using VMware's replication versus replicating at the SAN level?
No, it really depends. So obviously I say, no, actually I'm not saying. It really depends on your use case, right? There is better integration with the vSphere replication, but no, I would say it really depends on your use case and the pros and cons on what you're looking to achieve. vSphere replication does have a great recovery time objective, but I know some of the arrays now can accomplish the same. Joe has something more to add.
Yeah, so I think one advantage actually of vSphere replication is being able to do an individual VM versus if you're doing array-based replication, you've kind of got your blocks of VMs on your LUNs and that kind of thing. So.
But we do have vVols now.
And vVols, yeah.
Yeah.
And you got the vVols guy here too.
Yeah, but we do, yeah.
We're all going to weigh in on this one. So yeah, the granularity on the vVol side as well, but also it's the capacity of replications. I think it's if you're doing an array-based application, you've offloaded a lot of that work onto the array. so that you actually can increase that number. If you're doing it with vSphere replication, that number is lower. The number escapes me offhand.
Oh, actually now in vSphere replication in that 7, we can support up to like 4,000 VMs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So we're adding on. So like I said, I don't want to say it depends, but it really depends on your use case, right? And some, there is a benefit using one or the other. So yeah. All right, so as far as the architecture goes, and I touched on this already, but as far as the architecture goes, you do have to have the same storage, the same host, the same site recovery manager at the protected site and the recovery site. So you'll actually have the same type of environment at both sites. So vCenter, Site Recovery Manager appliance, the host, the underlying storage. And I know we're talking about array-based replication or array storage, but we also support local storage. So if you're using Site Recovery, vSphere replication, we are using local storage. And one thing I want to mention, both sites do have to be licensed. I do have some customers, they're asking, there's like, well, it's the disaster recovery environment, why do I have to license it? Actually, both sites have to be licensed because in case of a disaster, you do want your recovery site to come up. So that's very important. And then one last thing I would want to mention about this is the mapping is also very important. We have done the mapping already in the lab, but feel free to actually look when you open the Site Recovery Manager. You can actually see how we have mapped. So what I mean by that, your network from the protected site to the recovery site, all the resources have to be mapped because the VMs do need to know how to fail over. So your networks, your storage policies, your resource pools, they have to be mapped. We're dealing with 2 separate vCenters. We have to tell the VMs how to fail over. Any questions on this? All right, I only have a few slides. So 8.7 was released a few months back. So with the new release of 8.7, we are compatible now with vSphere 8 Update 1. There has been a lot of enhancements to the UI. You will be able to see that while taking the lab. But I would say one of the coolest features or enhancements is we now support the NVMe over Fabric array. It's compatible with Site Recovery Manager. So in 8.6, we were supporting NVMe arrays using vVols, but now with the release of 8.7, it's full compatibility. We are supporting this next-gen arrays, and the reason why is we have seen a lot of the customers are adopting this NVMe arrays. There's a benefit. There's a lot of capacity. The throughput the performance and the throughput is fantastic. So now in 8.7, we're fully supported on leveraging those type of arrays. The only thing that I would add is there are changes to the SRA, to the storage replication adapters. However, once you install that, then the Site Recovery Manager functionality doesn't change at all. So you just need to get the new SRAs from the vendors. And then once it's installed and configured, then SRM doesn't change. One other cool improvement in 8.7 is the IP customizations when it comes to Linux VMs. As you know, Site Recovery Manager does have the ability to customize IPs once they're recovered on the recovery site. It is a cool feature. A lot of the customers are using that. It gives you flexibility, to have new IPs at the recovery site. So now we are having support for the Linux VMs, the ones that have the temp directory mounted as non-exec. I know there were some security concerns with that, but now there's full support with that. So better RTO and RPO for the Linux VMs. I briefly touched about the REST APIs. We have introduced a lot of REST APIs in 8.6. In 8.7, we're rounding that up. We have released even more. So again, Module 5, if you'd like, take a look there. There's definitely a lot of new REST APIs that you can leverage to automate a lot of your SRM tasks. And on the site recovery, on the vSphere replication site, 3 new features that were released in 8.7 that has to deal with flexibility. We continue to add more flexibility in the vSphere replication site. So prior to 8.7, we only had data stores as a target for replication. We're enhancing that. We're actually bringing a data store cluster. So we're having a data store cluster that can be used for replication. And if you're using DRS, which everybody is using DRS, vSphere replication does support DRS. So actually DRS dictates where the VMs stay, if they're together or apart. So a lot of great integration with vSphere replication and DRS. And again, with improving flexibility with vSphere replication, this was actually a feature requested from the customers. We have the ability to exclude certain hosts for being registered with vSphere replication. So there are use cases when you want certain hosts to be excluded from vSphere replication. We are leveraging the vSphere tags, so you could actually tag your host and say, hey, don't participate in the replication at the recovery site. However, I still want the VMs to replicate the VMs to run on the particular host. So again, a lot of flexibility. The use case here is, you have DMZ hosts that you don't want them to be participating in that. So definitely take a look at that. And last but not least, this was also, again, another request from our customers, another use case. There are times when you do want to retain the replica disk. So you actually can see it here. So when you configure the vSphere replication and you delete some of your disks, there is the capability to retain this at the recovery site. So this was another feature that was requested. Now with 8.7, we are supporting that. And I know I kind of flew through this, but I do want to get to the Module 3. Again, the modules are independent of each other, but we are going to cover Module 3 now, and then hopefully you'll have enough time. We can go in Module 4. So this is what we're going to do in Module 3. We are going to create a protection group for a 3-tier application. We call that accounting application. And I'm actually going to walk you through on how to do it. We're going to leverage the manual too, so it's really up to you. I know it's probably not very good to see on the screen, but definitely leverage the manual as well. Let's get started. And I'm going to actually cover this in the walkthrough, but I put it up here for just as a reminder, what is a protection group, right? And what is a recovery plan? So you can think of a protection group as a collection of VMs that you want them to be recovered together. I see a lot of the protection groups are usually based on application or a service, right? So if there is a particular service that you want to protect together, then you should create a protection group that includes that. So, DNS, DHCP, or AD, and then you have other applications or other VMs that comprise of that service, that make up that service. The recommendation is to keep them together, to fail them, protect them together in a protection group. I did put this here that a VM can only belong to a single protection group, and then a protection group can be part of more recovery plans. And a recovery plan is an automated plan that controls your recovery. You can think of it as a run book, right? You can do a lot of things in a recovery plan. You can have multiple protection groups, so you can have multiple applications be part of that recovery plan. And you can actually run scripts in your recovery plan. You can have a timeout where it waits for a user input. So there's a lot of wiggle room in your recovery plan. And I'm going to cover that. All right. Any questions before we get started? All right, so this was done. All right, so this is a new interface. If you have done hands-on labs before, you do see this is a new interface that we introduced this year. However, it's pretty much it looks a little bit different, but underneath is actually the same. So here, you'll see the table of contents in the hamburger here. And we are going to cover module 3. Even though it says 4 here, but it's module 3. And I'm actually going to use the manual just because I know maybe it's too hard to see. I don't know. But I am going to leverage the manual. So again, we are going to create a protection group to protect a 3-tier application that's comprised of app, database, and web. These are the 3 VMs that we have. And we are, again, let's go ahead and launch the Firefox icon. And it's really up to you. If you want to go faster, go ahead. I do want to finish module 3, and then if there is time, I would like for you to start on module 4. So it really is up to you how comfortable you are, especially since some of you have already used Site Recovery Manager. So we are going to authenticate on the protected site. Again, protected site is region A, and recovery site is region B, 2 separate vCenters. So region A, VCSA 01, and we are going to log in, and the user and password should already be here. So just select administrator at vSphere.local, and then the password should already be filled in for you, and just click login. All right. We are going to open Site Recovery Manager. So again, a lot of this has already been set up in the lab, but you are more than welcome to explore, right? If you break it, you end the lab, and then you can start it again. That's the beauty of hands-on labs. Definitely explore, especially the ones that have already used Site Recovery Manager. These are, pretty standard tasks that we're doing right now, creating a protection group and a recovery plan. So feel free to explore. So open Site Recovery, click on that. And then you actually can see the site pair, which is VCSA 01, that's paired to VCSA 01B. I'm going to click on View Details. And now, like I said, since we're using a second vCenter in the recovery site, VCSA 01B, I'm going to authenticate. The password, the login and password are here. So it's administrator at vSphere2.local is for the recovery site. So just choose that and click login. Now I am going to advance the manual here. Again, ignore some of the alerts that you see. You know, we are using the pod with other solutions. All right, so we are going to create a protection group for this accounting app. So here you will see the protection group tab. So click on protection group, new protection group. And I like to be pretty descriptive. I like actually to either name my protection groups like PG or protection group. This way, you know, if you have multiples, it's good to keep a standard. So accounting, but you can call it whatever you want. Accounting, protection group. So the direction will be from protected site region A to recovery site region B. We are clicking next. And in this instance, we are leveraging vSphere replication. So we are going to select that. Don't select the pure flash array, select the individual VMs because we're using vSphere replication. Click next on that. And I'm going to advance my manual. And then we are going to select all 3 VMs. So 3-tier application. We're actually just trying to show you the process, right? I mean, in a real environment, you probably have a lot more. Then click next. We are going to skip this. We're not going to add it to a recovery plan just yet. We will do that at a different time. So go ahead and click do not add to a recovery plan. Click next. Now you can review and finish. And you will actually see it here. It's very fast. You'll see it here. Also, the notification bell can tell you if it was successful or not. So you'll see the accounting protection group here. So now next, we are going to log into site B, the recovery site, and we are actually going to look for a visual indication for those VMs to make sure that they are protected, right? So by seeing, you will actually see, let me just show you. So on region B, on a different tab, go ahead and select region B. And then we are going to log into region B, which is administrator at vSphere2.local. We are going to look for the placeholders for those VMs. So log in. And by visually seeing those placeholders, we can feel better that, you know, the VMs are protected. All right. Change your view to VMs and clusters. And then here, let's expand, go to region B01. And we are looking under the recovered apps region. And we will see accounting. I am selecting VMs, and you see it does look a little bit different. So these are the placeholders, and you can actually see they're in a power off state. So just by seeing the placeholders, we know that the virtual machines are protected. They do look a little bit different. All right, so we verified that. Now next will be to create a recovery plan. Let me just catch up with this. All right, so we are going to create a recovery plan for the accounting. We are already in here. Let me just advance this, please. All right, so like I mentioned, a recovery plan is an automated plan that controls your entire recovery. You could have multiple protection groups in a recovery plan. You can have a full site be failover to a recovery site, and actually one of the steps it will be to create a site-wide recovery plan where we can attach actually multiple protection groups. So I'll show you that in just a little bit. All right, now we are going to create a new recovery plan. So I'm going back to vCenter A. Oh, here it is open. I'll change it to recovery plan, and we're gonna create a new recovery plan. I'm gonna call it accounting. How are we doing? Everybody's okay? Joe? Accounting. Okay, so accounting recovery plan. Again, you can see the direction, region A01, failing over to region B01. Click next on that. We are just going to select the accounting protection group, just one, just for this exercise. Click next on this. This is actually very important. For this lab, we actually already have done this for you, but test networks, right? What this means is that your recovery VMs will be brought up in a test bubble, right? Site Recovery Manager by default creates its own test environment where you can bring up your VMs. The benefit of that is that you don't have to have a dedicated VLAN or subnet for the recovery, so you don't really have to involve your network team. The downside to that is that all your VMs will have to be on the same host in order to test, right? So that is actually not very good. So having a test network where you can fail over your VMs is, if you can have that, that is our recommendation. So go ahead and just click Next here. We are using the site level mapping, which is just the built-in functionality of Site Recovery Manager, that it just brings it into an isolated environment. A virtual switch that has no way of communicating out. So your testing will be, confined to that particular host, to that particular bubble network. All right, go ahead and click Next on that and finish. And this was created, the recovery plan was created. You can actually see it here. Let me advance this. All right, so next we're gonna test actually our recovery plan. This was the point. You just created the recovery plan. We have to test it. We have to make sure that it actually works. And this is one of the benefits and why a lot of customers do like Site Recovery Manager, because you get to test your plans. And having that capability to test a plan, it's very important. And also, if you have different applications, then you can just have the application owner, dictate when they want to test, right? So it's always good to separate that by your application. So now we're gonna test this recovery plan that we created for the accounting application. So we are already on the Site Recovery Manager. We are going to just locate our recovery plan, accounting recovery plan, and we are going to test. Click on test. And because it's a test, and also for the sake of time of this lab, we are not going to replicate the recent changes to the recovery site. So please go ahead, make sure you uncheck that. So what are we doing now? So right now we are just going to fail over those 3 VMs that make up the accounting app. We're going to fail it in a test bubble, in a test environment at the recovery site. So we're just testing that functionality. So click Next on that, and then click Finish. And you can actually see it. The test is in progress. And if I click on the accounting recovery plan, I can actually see a little bit more details. You can click on recovery steps if you'd like. And this will provide actually a lot more details in what exactly is happening. And it's broken down by steps. So as you can see, we have skipped the synchronization of storage that was skipped. But then you can actually see, and you can expand this, and you can see what's happening. And what I like about this, that you can actually see how long each task takes, right? That is also important. And you can see, the test networks. And then here, if you would have priorities, right? Let's say you actually want your database VM to come up prior to your application VM and your web VM, or any priority. With Site Recovery Manager, you can actually control the priority on how the VMs come up. So a lot of flexibility when it comes to that. All right, so let's click on summary. So our test is complete. The virtual machines have been recovered in a test environment at the recovery site. And actually, we are going to visually see how that looks. Oh, we're actually going to see the larger failover. So I'll show you that in a little bit. But actually, let me just deviate a little bit here. You should be able to see them. So if I went back, I don't know if you saw that, I went back to the recovery site vCenter to region B. And actually, if you look in, if you're still in the accounting folder, you see how this changed. You see how the placeholders went from power off state to power on state. So the VMs are recovered on region B. You see, we're on the region B right now. So we're going back to the Site Recovery Manager. And what we're going to do, the manual has you clean up that environment. And cleaning up, all it means is that it's going to shut down the environment, remove the resources, clean up the environment, and put the VMs in a ready state to be recovered again. So,
Hey, Monica.
Yeah?
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course, of course.
So Monica was talking about how this is a test, and it showed you the difference of the state of the VM now that's over at the recovery site, how the placeholders are now powered on, and they're the actual recovered VMs. So what this is actually the test mode within Site Recovery Manager. If you go to the production vCenter and show the VMs there on the A side, you will see
Oh, sorry.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Counting, yeah, you will see them in.
you will see the
powered
VMs
off.
powered
Powered off, right?
Oh, they're powered
Oh,
on. They're
fine,
powered on.
sorry,
So this
powered
is in test mode. So what that
Yeah.
means is basically, in test mode, it allows you to basically simulate an actual recovery. And I say simulate because what it's doing is it's basically creating a copy of the machines from the replication and bringing them up at the recovery site and allowing production to continue running while you're testing recovery. Now, the other types of recovery that we have in SRM is called plan migration or actual failover. So plan migration will allow you to actually do a planned, like a data center failover or an actual migration, which SRM has been used for in the past. Or your actual failover, say tornado hits, hurricane, whatever it may be, the site has been destroyed, there's nothing there. You would power all the VMs up at the recovery site while there's nothing at your source site or at your protected site, and that'll just allow you to go what we call an uncontrolled, not uncontrolled, yeah, I wouldn't want to say uncontrolled, but it's just going to go regardless. It's going to power up the VMs in that state. When I mentioned planned migration just previously, that's a controlled failover.
Yeah.
So what it's going to do is it's going to shut down the VMs in a controlled state at the source site, and then bring up the VMs at the recovery site.
Thank
So
you,
those are
Joe.
the differences between the three.
Yeah, for this module, we're only doing a test. We're not actually doing a failover. But yeah, that's a good point actually. All right, so we are going to clean up our test environment. Back, I think everybody's, yeah. So we're gonna clean it up. Go ahead on the accounting recovery plan, go ahead and just click on cleanup. Click next. And again, this goes very quickly. and you'll see in the notification bell that it has been successful. And you see how it says here, it's ready for recovery. That is the status of the 3 VMs. So they're ready to be recovered again. All right, now for the next module, actually for the next step in this module, what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a site-wide recovery plan. So I know I mentioned this. We always talk about disaster recovery when it comes to Site Recovery Manager, but there are use cases when you want to evacuate the site, you know, a smaller site. So their Site Recovery Manager does provide you with that mobility where you can actually fail over the entire site to a recovery site. Obviously, this is just a small environment. We don't have a lot of VMs, but I am going to create a recovery plan, a site-wide recovery plan that actually has 3 separate protection groups. So you could think of it as like 3 separate applications or 3 separate services. So I'm going to do that next. Again, in the recovery plan. Let's get going here. All right, new recovery plan. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to just call it site. Click next on this. So now we're going to select all 3 of our protection groups. We do have 3 other. So we have the accounting app, which is the 3-tier application. We do have a sales application and also another introduction protection group that we've done in module 2. We're going to add all 3 protection groups to the site-wide recovery plan. Again, the test networks have been configured. We're going to leave that, so we're going to use the site level mapping that has been configured between the 2 sites. So we're not selecting anything. We're just going to click next on this, and then let me catch up on the manual. Then we're going to click finish here. All right, and we can see our site-wide recovery plan has been created. So now what we want to do, we want to, again, test this. And I am going to actually click on the recovery steps and expand the priority of the 3 VMs. This way we can actually see all the VMs that are part of this recovery plan. And while we run it, we can see what's happening with those 3 VMs. So we're going to actually test the site-wide recovery plan. And again, please uncheck the replicate recent changes to the recovery site for the sake of time. And click next on that and finish. And we will see step by step all the recovery steps that are actually part of this recovery plan. And if I scroll down, I'm not sure if you can see. If I scroll down, you can see the accounting, all the VMs that are part of those protection groups, and the protection groups are part of this particular recovery plan are getting brought up on the recovery site. Does take a little bit of time, but once that's finished, then we're going to visually check on the recovery site to see what happens with those VMs. All right, almost there, 92%. All right, you should still have a tab open for the Site B vCenter. So I switch back to site B. And since we already have the recovered apps folder, I'm just going to click on that. And I was already under the VMs view. But again, you can see all of the applications that were part of these protection groups. Actually, they have been turned on in this bubble network, ready to be tested. All right, any questions on this? And I do want to show you, so the manual actually has you walk through to clean this up. So let's go ahead and do that, and then I want to show you the logs. So I'm switching back to Site A. So I'm on VCSA 01 on Site A under the recovery plans. We can see this has finished. I am actually going to clean it up first. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same step we've done previously. Go ahead and clean this site-wide recovery, confirm it, finish. I'm going to show you one more thing. All right, so once the recovery plan has been cleaned up, it's ready to be tested again. So again, that is the beauty of Site Recovery Manager. You can do those tests as much as you need to, right? Also, since we could leverage scripts to do priorities for VMs, or you can actually leverage scripts to do other tasks that are part of your recovery plan, then you can reiterate on this recovery plan as much as you need to. So you can run through those tests as much as you need to achieve that RPO and RTO that your application folks are requiring, or your application is required. So we have cleaned up the recovery plan. This recovery plan is ready to be tested again. I do want to show you the reporting piece. Site Recovery Manager also has that. Something that we are all asked is to provide, recovery plans reporting. How long did my application take to get recovered, to be recovered? So let's look for that. Under recovery plan, I'm going to choose just the accounting recovery plan. And then here you can view everything about the recovery plan. You can look at the steps. You can look at issues. You can look at history. You can see actually what has happened. So we have run a cleanup and a test. And then for the test, actually, I am going to look at that detailed report. A lot of times, customers are asked to provide those detailed reports to the disaster recovery team, to the security team. So Site Recovery Manager has this reporting capability built in. As you can see, you can actually export the report in multiple formats. I'm just going to use the web page for this. And let's go ahead and open it in a new tab. And yeah, granted, it's a very simple plan. It only has three VMs, but you can see the potential here, right? You can see how detailed each recovery step is. And again, when did that particular step started, when it completed, how long did it take? So again, if you're trying to achieve a particular recovery time objective, you can start leveraging this, and you can also leverage the testing feature inside Recovery Manager to keep testing your recovery plans. All right, any questions on this? All right, so that is Module 3. I know it's pretty straightforward. If you would like, you can go ahead and do Module 4. You can actually start on Module 4. There's no need for you to run the script again. We've already run the script. You can continue with Module 4. Module 4 does go over IP customization. It is one of the best features of Site Recovery Manager, how you can customize the IPs. So take a peek at Module 4. we're here to answer any questions. And Tim and Joe are walking around, so if you have any questions, please feel free. And in the meantime, I do have one more slide that I want to put up. I'm getting a lot of questions in regards to this, and I thought maybe it would be good to just bring this up. All right. So there's other disaster recovery solutions that VMware has besides the good, reliable Site Recovery Manager. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about VMware Cloud Disaster Recovery, the VCDR solution that we're offering, and also the VMware Site Recovery, VSR solution. So all three solutions are similar, but also they have differences between them. So again, it really depends on your use case, and it really depends on your workload and what are you trying to accomplish. What kind of RTO and RPO you are trying to accomplish. VCDR is replicating the data to a scale-out system. It works only with VMC on AWS. The beauty of this is that you do not need a SDDC at the recovery site, so it's fast. It's very, very fast, and a lot of customers are actually liking this. There are also a pilot light that comes with this, with VCDR, where you can actually start building a brand new SDDC at the recovery site. That does take a little bit of time, so it depends on your workloads and what are you trying to accomplish when you're picking those solutions. As you can see, VCDR is on-prem to the cloud, so you are protecting on-prem workloads to the cloud, and it only works with VMC on AWS. On the other hand, VSR, VMware Site Recovery, is built on top of Site Recovery Manager and vSphere replication. However, it's a SaaS solution. All right, so it's a SaaS solution. Again, it runs on a VMware Cloud, on VMC, on AWS. We manage this solution. So you could protect your own cloud, your on-prem to the cloud. But again, it's a SaaS solution. VMware provides this. And it's built on Site Recovery Manager and vSphere replication. As you can see here, it does have a lower RPO in comparison to VCDR. Also, VSR does. Do you want to add? VSR is currently available with other hyperscalers, so GCVE, AVS. But again, one of the sites has to be VMC on AWS, so one of the sites has to be VMware Cloud because it's a service that we're providing, so we're kind of managing that. But you could fail over to other hyperscalers.
So, I'm getting the camera shot here.
Go for it.
We typically do get a lot of questions on this because
Yeah.
it's like 3 different solutions for recovery, right? DR offered by the same company. Each one of them has, again, as Monica said, different use cases, different values, different RPOs and RTOs. So probably a good time to even ask if there are any questions or thoughts or curiosities. If you want to raise your hand, I can come over and help you out, if this is clear enough for you for now. There's quite a bit that we can get into here.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah. There's similarities between the three. You can, as you can see, you can actually combine those solutions. You don't have to have just VSR or just Site Recovery Manager. You can combine those solutions. However, the VM can only be protected by one solution. But in your environment, and we are actually seeing now more and more customers liking the VCDR functionality, but only some workloads can take advantages of that, or only some workloads are protected by VCDR, and then some of the workloads can be protected by Site Recovery Manager. So you can combine those depending on your workloads, depending on the need, on your RPO and RTO. So,
there's several, at least a couple of sessions in
Yeah.
some of the in the main buildings. that'll go through the much deeper dive comparison between these. Talk a little bit about like the onus of updating, the onus of owning the appliance, specifically for the VCDR side. Talk a little bit about like how much that, what that would cost. Like, essentially on this side, you don't need a data center. You're just paying for some deep storage, and on that side, right, you actually have a data center. So it's a spectrum of different investment, and there's, again, an hour to 90-minute sessions that are dedicated to this specific topic out there. Come see us and we can recommend some if you're curious about getting into it, because it's really great stuff. It's part of these are some from newer acquisitions, and it's some really exciting stuff that we have never been able to do in the past. So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, we're not doing it justice just having one slide up. So definitely there's deep dives. I don't know if you guys follow Cato, he's the technical marketing for everything disaster recovery. So he was actually here this morning. He's unable to be here at this time because he does have a session. There's actually a couple of deep dive sessions, like Tim said. So yeah, we're not doing justice just by having a slide up. So if you're interested, we can definitely recommend some of the sessions. But yeah, that's all I had for this. Again, don't rush. If you do want to stay a little bit longer to do Module 4, highly recommend it. You'll definitely like that. Or take a peek at Module 5. Just look at the REST APIs. See how you can leverage that Site Recovery Manager REST API gateway. Just familiarize yourself with that. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.